everyone, this is Amy. Welcome to my channel. You might remember my skater Peyton. I first introduced her to you when we took that deep dive into the pre-preliminary moves in the field, and I analyzed her passing virtual test back in February. Peyton has been skating for about 2 years, starting at the age of 17. But due to school and other activities, not to mention the closures, she doesn't always skate consistently.
Peyton's here.
Peyton's here.
Peyton just got back from college.
Just got back today.
And this is her first time on the ice since when?
When's the last time I saw you? A month ago? Should I try striking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we record that or should we not?
You can if you want.
Let's see. It's been since what, February?
Yeah, I think I had one lesson in February and one in like March.
And she did wear rental skates for her entire first year of skating,
I learned how to jump in rental skates.
which I do not recommend at all. However, she has made excellent progress, and I just found out that Peyton passed her preliminary moves in the field. This was a huge relief for both of us because we filmed it as a virtual test session, literally the day before Peyton left to go back to college. If Peyton had received a retry, we would have had to wait until her winter break to try again. While Peyton and most skaters have little difficulty passing the pre-preliminary moves in the field, the second moves test, preliminary, is much more challenging. This test has 6 moves. The judges will expect higher quality execution. So it's critical that when you take your preliminary moves, you are starting to get into the ice with good knee action. Judges are specifically looking to see this from you. Many of the moves require a strong knee bend to achieve power, and skate on the deep edges required. That said, there are some moves where you're better off rising up in the skating knee, and I will point those out as we go through Peyton's test. By the way, if you're new to moves in the field or would like some more information, I highly suggest that you check out the deep dive I took into Peyton's pre-preliminary test. There's a link to it in the description down below. That video can also be quite helpful if you're struggling a bit to prepare for the preliminary test, because you might benefit from revisiting and mastering the moves in the pre-preliminary test. Moves in the field provide the building blocks for balance, use of the blade, control of body rotation or checking ability, body line to full extension, increasing speed and power, and accuracy of placement of pattern. You must strive to achieve the highest quality skating that you're capable of at each level to show the judges that you are well prepared to take on the challenge of the next level. As you progress from one level to another, you will not simply be learning a new set of moves, you'll also be expected to raise the standard of your skating. In other words, you have to improve the quality of your skating, paying attention to posture, control, speed, presentation, and edge quality. As you continue to progress, you need to be aware of all the refinements that are expected at that level. These are the details that can make you appear more advanced and ready for the next level. Paying attention to these details goes a long way to separate you from other skaters at your level. I have a whole video about skill progression in figure skating, and I also have videos with my skater Monica taking her adult pre-bronze moves in the field 50 plus. And I also have Shirley taking her standard pre-preliminary moves test, as well as a whole video about moves in the field rule changes for the 2021-22 season. If you missed any of those videos, there are links to them in the description down below. For this video, I've included chapters below, just in case you want to skip around to specific moves. And I'm going to post Peyton's entire test without my commentary at the end of this video at this time code. I'll put it somewhere up here. So if you don't want to hear me break down the moves, you can just skip to that time code. But I really hope you don't just skip through my commentary. It can really help you prepare for your preliminary test. Okay, so preliminary moves in the field. The purpose of this test is to continue the encouragement of beginning skaters to learn the fundamentals of ice skating. The candidate must demonstrate knowledge of the steps and a good sense of power, which is speed plus flow. Attention should be given to the depths of edges and proper curvature of the lobes. The general test standard should demonstrate a sense of access and knowledge of steps, edges, patterns, and body extension. The skater should also demonstrate an ability to maintain upright carriage in their posture while bending and rising in the skating knee. In other words, the proper alignment of the hips, back, arms, and shoulders, and head over the skate, unless the move requires a variation, such as we see in a spiral. Typically, the skater's back should be straight, with the spine and head perpendicular to the surface of the ice. The arms should be extended out from the shoulders, level and relaxed. The free leg should be in a straight line and slightly turned out from the free hip. This is a standard track because you must be 21 or older to test as an adult. And this can be a bit confusing for older skaters because in Learn to Skate, most rinks will put you into the adult track at around age 15. And you can compete as an adult in US figure skating at 18 years old. However, you cannot test as an adult until you're 21. Preliminary moves, pattern number 1, forward and backward crossovers. This move is all about demonstrating that you can stroke powerful forward and backward crossovers while accelerating with proper skating technique. So power is the focus for this move and what judges are looking for. Power is the creation and maintenance of speed and flow without visible effort. This is developed by a continuous rise and fall of the skating knee and pressure of the blade's edge against the ice. The skater should demonstrate the ability to exert equal pressure against the surface of the ice on both the right and left foot. End products of power are velocity, speed or pace, flow across the ice, and acceleration. Even though the primary focus of this move is power, you should always try to be aware of your presentation to the judges. In other words, don't just try to show them that you have power at the expense of overall presentation. Remember, the line of your arms, posture, extension, carriage, all contribute to what you're presenting. This move may start on either direction, on either foot. Forward crossovers must be skated first before the backward crossovers. The pattern may be skated anywhere on the ice surface. 4 to 6 crossovers per circle will be skated. So make sure that you skate the correct number of crossovers. At least 4 and no more than 6 are required for each circle. The 4 circles should be equal in size. Get into the ice and skate each of your forward crossovers on a well-bent knee with good free leg extension at the end of each stroke. There can sometimes be a tendency for skaters to cross over their free foot turned out. But the best forward crossovers lead with the toe first, not the heel. So it's best to aim your toe at the center of the circle. For backward crossovers, be sure to reach into the circle with your inside leg and get your second push underneath you on each crossover. This will help you gain momentum as you shift your body weight back over your outside foot. Standards and expectations: good posture, ability to increase power, correct blade use throughout the push stroke, not stepped. Remember, crossovers have 2 pushes. We also want to start to see some knee bend and rise. The transitions are important. 1 foot transitions between the 2 forward circles are to be expected. The transition between the 2 forward circles into the backward circle will be a swing roll to a change of edge open mohawk. Common errors include toe pushing or incorrect use of the blade to stroke, forward crossovers weaker than the backward ones, insufficient ability to create power, and poor posture. You also want to try to avoid the up and down motion throughout the crossovers, as this indicates lack of smoothness. Judges qualify and observe smoothness and efficiency of the skater by observing the athlete's head and arms in relationship to the horizon or the top of the dasher boards. We additionally sometimes see skaters with crossovers that include only 1 push, as well as scratchy back crossovers because the skater is too far forward on their blade. You want your weight on the middle front of the blade. This is the ball of your foot. If you keep your weight there, you'll have an easier time with your back crossovers because your blade, and not your toe pick, will be in contact with the ice. I usually suggest that skaters perform this on the 2 hockey circles at the ends of the rink, starting at the goal line with 2 strokes, then going to the first forward crossover in the counterclockwise direction. However, you can also perform it in the ice center. Some skaters prefer that. You may perform this move in either direction. You are permitted up to 7 introductory steps that are optional. So here are Peyton's forward and backward crossovers. Those are her 2 intro steps and her first crossover. Notice she is down on the knee. She's not really coming up and down, and she's got her arms securely on the circle. You're a little slow. That's her 1 foot transition. I would love to see her do these with more power. She knows that. She knows that. That's the swing mohawk. Now notice she is getting the wide step over the crossovers. I always tell her when she skates like this that she looks like she's stuck in mud or quicksand. And I think she might agree with that. I think she would agree. She did actually perform this better on another attempt. We filmed 3 attempts of this test. But for virtual tests, you can't edit. I mentioned that in the test rule change video, that for virtual tests, you cannot edit. It must be one continuous shot. And this attempt was the best shot overall out of the 3 complete attempts that we recorded. So this was the one we decided to submit for judging. I'm gonna put her other attempt in here, and you can let me know which one you like better in the comments down below. Now the judges' comments were difficult to read, as they often are, but in this case we were only provided with a screenshot. I did request the PDF and I haven't yet received it. What I'm able to make out is that she has the ability to increase power and use the blade correctly. More knee bend and rise, and the transitions could be better. This judge noted that there was limited flow and she could push more. Overall, Peyton received a -1 on this move, which sounds terrible, right? But the marks range from -3 to +3, with 0 meaning that the standard was met. Overall, I think that's pretty accurate. I had anticipated that she would receive a mark of -2 or -1. I should mention that when I say I anticipated, I actually watched all 3 of Peyton's attempts that we recorded, sitting at my computer the next day. When I did this, I tried to put myself in the judge's position and provide marks for each move on a judging form. This was the method that I used to help evaluate which complete test attempt to send in for judging. I think it was pretty accurate. So now, preliminary pattern 2, consecutive outside and inside spirals. The skater will perform right foot and left foot spirals. The outside edge spirals will be skated for the first length of the rink. Forward crossovers may be utilized, but are optional around the end of the rink. Forward inside edge spirals will be skated for the second length of the rink. The exact number of spirals does depend on the rink's size and the skater's strength. However, a minimum of 4 spirals down each length of the rink must be skated. Most skaters will perform 5 spirals on each side of the ice surface. The extended leg in the spiral should be held at hip level or higher. The primary focus is on extension, and the secondary focus is on edge quality. Remember, an extended free leg is beautiful, and as a bonus, it's also useful for balance. Edge quality is initiated through proper body alignment over the skating foot, creating a stable arc that travels uninterrupted until a required transition takes place. Depth of edge refers to the acuteness or quality of the arc. It is created by the lean of the body and the angle of the blade when it takes the ice. Good quality results in sure, confident, and controlled movement. This move is intended to develop flexibility of both legs. The move challenges the skater to demonstrate a command of forward spirals on controlled edges. These skills will help enhance the quality of camel spin positions and more advanced spiral sequences. The forward, outside, and inside spirals will use the continuous axis as the basic format. The basic forward edges are the foundation for the placement of the blade on the ice. The skater may briefly glide on 2 blades to achieve their balance before stepping onto the next arc. Now, let's take a look at Peyton's spirals. Here are her introductory steps, which are optional. Notice how she points her toe directly to the wall before each push. By doing this, it helps her begin the next spiral on the correct edge. And she won't scrape diagonally on flats. Oh, she slipped. These are the optional crossovers to connect the 2 sides. That's actually Monica over there from the other test. The insides are difficult. She was trying not to hit Monica. Wobbly. Extension's good. Oh, that was a little tough. She held on to it. She has had other attempts. This one's good. The order of execution of the spiral is: turn out your pushing foot as you stroke onto the edge. Next, balance with the free leg, lifting and an extended turned out position. Then lift and stretch the torso and use your quad muscle to raise your free leg to at least hip level, but go as high as you can while holding the edge. Always look in the direction you are skating with your back arched, arms held up nicely, and rising up in your skating knee. The body will form an arched line with the hips at the lowest point of that line. This creates the ideal spiral position. Try to get into the spiral position as quickly as possible and hold your weight over the skating hip. Don't waste too much time getting your free leg into position, and hold that position for at least 3/4 of the lobe. At the end of each lobe, allow just enough time to bring your free leg down. That way you will have enough time to begin the next spiral and hold the spiral long enough to meet the judge's expectations. Inside edge spirals are a little more challenging than outside edge spirals. As you begin each lobe, lead slightly with the skating hip. It can be challenging to control your hips on an inside spiral, so be sure to keep them as quiet as possible as you lower your free leg at the end of the spiral. What you want to avoid here is putting your free leg down too quickly to regain your balance. It's also common to see skaters toe pushing on the inside edge spirals So make sure you turn your foot out and feel the inside edge on your blade gripping into the ice as you push. Common errors include not stepping onto an axis, not arching your back. Remember to hold your head up and don't drop your arms. Losing control after the spiral, free leg too low. Remember, it must be at hip level or higher. Sometimes the spiral is not held long enough. The incorrect shape of lobe sometimes happens. Sometimes the inside edge is weaker, or you end the spiral too late, causing the next spiral to start on the next lobe. You also want to rise up in your knee to create pressure against the ice and maintain momentum. It also looks much nicer if your skating leg is straight.
Why do you keep dropping?
Because I'm bending my knee.
And I should point out that the expectations are the same for males and females. I'm trying to make out what the judge wrote, and what I can make out, I think, is nice extension, outstanding. And Peyton received a mark of a +1 on this move. And that was the mark that I had anticipated. Preliminary pattern 3, forward power 3 turns. The purpose of this move is to execute forward outside 3 turns with greater velocity, as well as shifting the body weight to create power. This move teaches the skater to do both forward 3 turns in a more powerful 3 skating step. The skater will perform forward outside 3 turns to a balanced position, followed by a backward crossover. The primary focus here is on power. The judges are looking to see how well you can push from one edge onto the next. 3 to 6 sets of 3 turns will be skated, depending upon the length of the ice surface. Skaters may begin this move with either right or left foot 3 turns. Backward crossovers around the ends of the arena are optional. Demonstrate that you can use the power gained from shifting your weight onto a wide step and back to the next edge. This is what the judges want to see. I advise my skaters to stay down in the knee and into the ice, only rising up a little into the 3 turns. Common errors include stepping onto the incorrect edge after the 3 turn, or stepping onto an outside edge following the wide step. The inability to increase power from the back inside edge. This can be from insufficient knee bend and uneven timing. Sometimes we see the 3 turn lobe too large, and this affects the timing. Or rising too quickly for the 3 turn can make you have to turn too early, which also impacts your timing. Noisy or scratchy backward crossovers. This indicates that you're too far forward on your blade and scraping the toe pick. This can sometimes also occur due to lack of control of the free leg or lifting it too high. That can cause your body to tip forward. Poor posture is also sometimes an issue. Introductory steps are optional. I suggest skating 4 strokes to build up momentum before you get to the long axis on the ice surface. Then perform a mohawk on the corner into an outside edge and a crossover before stepping forward into the first 3 turns. An alternate method is that skaters follow the strokes with a hockey glide on 2 feet around the corner and pushing from a forward glide into the first 3 turn. I tend to prefer the first method because it eliminates the 2-foot skating, which some judges dislike, but some skaters do prefer the latter method for additional steadiness. So either is okay. Now let's take a look at Peyton's test. Now she did go right from the spirals into this next move, which is not something I recommend, but that's what she did. She's pushing on a good outside edge here, a little stumble, with okay knee bend and good extension before she rises up in the knee. Wobbly, balanced position. We call that a wide step, but it's really more accurately referred to as a balance position. And it's really nice when you can see her get close. Push and turn, push, push, push. It is on all the correct edges. It's nice to see. Okay. Notice that each time she stepped forward, her upper body is over her new skating hip. The 3-turn lobe with one push before the turn will generally be smaller than the back crossover lobe, which consists of 3 pushes. The judge noted that flow, power, weight shift, and edges were all okay, and that she had well-formed lobes and maintained the axis. However, the judge noticed limited flow and marked this as a -1, which was the mark I had anticipated. Preliminary pattern 4. Alternating forward 3 turns. The primary focus is on edge quality, which is the ability to sustain glide and control edges with proper transitions, depth of lobe, and curvature. The purpose of this move is to teach the skater the body mechanics of 3 turns, namely the shoulders against the hips action, and rocking on the blade that produces crisp, controlled 3 turns. Starting from a standing position, the skater will perform alternating forward outside 3 turns for the width of the ice. Then the skater will perform forward inside alternating 3 turns for the second width of the ice. The size of the ice surface and the strength of the skater determines the number of 3 turns. Usually we see 6 outside followed by 6 inside. Test standards and expectations. Equal depth of lobes, controlled edges with proper transitions during the backward to forward action, which is actually a chop top. The hips must remain underneath the shoulders. Each push-off to begin a new lobe must be perpendicular or close to the axis. Pattern placement is also a factor in creating correct 3 turns. Stepping forward diagonally or doing the 3 turns before the top of each arc will result in loss of control. To avoid forward tipping action, the geometric placement of the skating foot perpendicular to the long axis on each forward step is essential. After stepping forward, it is vital to establish balance and control of the free side of the body before rotating for the 3 turn. Extra credit can be awarded for extended free leg and demonstrating good control after each transition. There are no introductory steps permitted on this move. Okay, so let's take a look at Peyton's. She's stepping forward with her foot perpendicular to axis. That one was a little off. That one was a little short. Majority of them were good. Her insides are actually better than her outsides, which is unusual. Balance, rotate, check, stretch, feet together. The judge marked this as a 0, which indicates that it meets the standard. I had anticipated a mark of 0 to +1, so I totally agree with the judge. The next move is preliminary move number 5, the forward circle 8. The skater will push from a standing start onto a forward outside edge and complete one forward outside figure 8. Upon returning to the center, after the second circle, the skater will perform a forward inside figure 8 by pushing onto a forward inside edge, repeating the previously skated circle. The skater must do the outside edges first, followed by the inside edges, and the skater must always switch feet. The circles should be equal in size, with each circle approximately 3 times the skater's height. Edge quality and continuous flow are the 2 focuses of this move. We've already discussed edge quality. Continuous flow refers to the skater's ability to maintain a consistent and undisturbed running edge across the ice. But flow does not necessarily relate to the speed at which the skater is traveling. It's sometimes best recognized as the skater starts to slow down. This pattern may be skated anywhere on the ice, and it's recommended to use any of the hockey lines or hockey circles as landmarks. Common errors include toe pushing, wide stepping on the pushes, not stepping on the axis, lack of awareness of short and long axis, having a concept of center, unequal circle size, and sometimes having subcurves on the circles, or not being able to maintain edge glide all the way around the circle. Okay, so let's look at Peyton's Circle 8. Holds her starting position with her arms on the circle and her free foot behind her, toe to heel. At the halfway mark, she swings her free leg with her foot turned out and pointed. She's being patient and rising up until she comes back to center. She pushes from an inside edge for the next circle with her feet together and turned out, and repeats the same method she used on the first circle. Once she has completed the second circle, she is now skating on the same circle again, but on her inside edge. In other words, the third circle traces over the second circle, but you switch your feet. And now her fourth circle will trace over her first circle so that she is on an inside edge and switches feet. I often see some skaters swing their free leg and switch their arms too early, which can cause you to lose control. But Peyton did this very well on this attempt. I had anticipated a mark of 0 to +1, and the judge's mark was the latter, +1. Earlier I mentioned that Peyton made an error on another full test attempt. It was on the Circle 8. The test overall was beautiful until this happened. Now, errors are permitted at each test level, which should not exclude a test from passing. The error's level and magnitude must always be considered when judges evaluate a test as pass or retry. Even though the rest of the test was stronger, I felt that the error would hurt her overall mark too much compared to the overall quality of this attempt. So we ultimately decided to submit this test attempt instead. Preliminary pattern number 6, alternating backward crossovers to backward outside edges. This move is intended to help the skater sustain good landing positions and train the body to achieve strength and balance symmetrically. The skater will perform alternating backward crossovers to backward outside edges in consecutive half circles. The skater will only skate down one side of the ice. 4 or 5 lobes should be skated. The primary focus is on power. Power is not speed. Skating fast does not by itself indicate power. You need to skate the pattern correctly with control and quality. The secondary focus is on extension. This is considered a relatively easy move that requires long flowing edges with good speed, posture, ice coverage, and control during sustained extensions. Because judges consider this to be a simple move, they expect to see excellent quality here. Pattern size may depend on the size of the skater. However, the pattern will not usually cross the center of the ice. Common errors include poor flow and extension, unequal lobes, poor posture, inability to extend equally with both legs. Extra credit is sometimes given when the pattern is on larger lobes with proper curvature. A maximum of 7 optional introductory steps are permitted. Recommended introductory steps: down the hockey goal line, stroke left, right forward mohawk into the first right back outside edge of the move. Let's look at Peyton's test. Notice that Peyton uses the lobe pattern with each arc, starting perpendicular to the continuous axis and ending with the back outside edge, completing the lobe back to the axis. Peyton is demonstrating the development of good form, flow, and control during sustained extensions. Her power is coming from more efficient crossovers at this level. There's also a higher degree of development of free skating posture. Notice her carriage is level and smooth, as well as her ability to maintain a back outside edge that glides fluidly. I would like to see her turn her head more to look in the direction she's traveling. She did that on the first one, but I'd like to see more of that. The judge marked this move as a 0, which means that Peyton met the standard. I had anticipated that it would be marked 0 to +1. Peyton's cumulative mark was 0, which is passing standard. Going into this test, I felt that it could have been marked as low as -1, which would have been a retry, or up to a +1. Considering that, I agree with the judge's mark of 0, and I'm happy for Peyton that she passed her second test. The judge did note that Peyton should work on power, and I totally agree with that. I am thrilled with Peyton's progress, and she should be very proud of herself for passing this test. Congratulations, Peyton.
Thank you.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share it with someone else that it could help. Just post it to your social media too. And remember, I post at least 3 videos every week that can help you with your skating, fitness, nutrition, and live a better life. So if you like that kind of content, be sure to click that subscribe button and ring the bell right next to it so that you never miss a video.
Hi, my name is Peyton Crimmy, and I will be testing the preliminary moves. Okay. Timestamp. Got it?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah. I'm getting a test.
Fun time. Okay. Thank you.
This is Amy. Thank you for watching. Happy skating. I will see you real soon. Bye.